guys, welcome back to my channel. And in this morning's recipe, we're going to make slow cooker pork loin. So all you need is you just need 2 pork loins that I've marinated, 1 chopped onion, and you're going to need some mushrooms that I've left whole. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and spray our slow cooker. So we're going to spray the inside of this. Now the inside must be sprayed for a couple of reasons. 1, we do not want this pork loin to stick. And 2, it helps for easy cleanup. Okay, but we're gonna spray it good because we have a lot of stuff to put in this crock pot. Real good, even on the sides, because sometimes the meat in a slow cooker will burn. So we don't want that. So spray the sides good. Okay. Now we're done with this. So next thing we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna go ahead and put our gloves on, because now this is the part where it gets messy. Okay, and we have a lot of ingredients in this slow cooker. So I'm going to do, if you now guys, let me tell you, if you guys have seen my last video, which is my slow cooker pot roast, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Last time when we did this, I tried to put my vegetables around the roast. Let's see if we can do it with this pork tenderloin. So I'm gonna unwrap the meat with my gloves. Okay, we're gonna unwrap it just like so. Excuse me. And we're gonna unwrap the pork loin, and that pork loin just smells so good. And then I'm gonna get rid of the plastic wrap. Okay, that's the first thing we'll do. Now, next thing we're gonna do to this pork loin, we're gonna take out the pork loin. Now, we're not gonna. Don't worry. It's gonna be fine. You're gonna think, oh, this looks gross. It's going to be fine, okay? I promise. It's gonna be just fine. There's no need to say, oh, this looks weird, because it's not. Okay? So we're gonna take out the meat. Look at that beautiful pork loin, and we're gonna throw it in our slow cooker, just like so. And then what we'll do is I'll show you what we're gonna do after we're done. Now, once we do that, I'm pretty sure we can get rid of our gloves, because I don't really need these. That was just for the meat process. If I need gloves, I can always grab another set, but we're done with the gloves for right now. Okay, we're done. Now, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put our onions and our mushrooms in. Now, these onions are chopped pretty fine days, but I'll have to, go in there with my hands. But what I want to do is I want to put my onions kind of like, now they break easily, so I want to put my onions around it. Now I probably will have to wash my hands at this point, but it's okay. Okay? But I want to put my onions around the meat. Now this process will take maybe a little bit longer, a while, but that's okay. We got time. There's no need to rush the recipe, okay? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, we're rushing it, but we're not. I'm not in a rush to get this recipe done. There's no need for it, okay? We have plenty of time. Now this is gonna cook on low for 6 hours, and you guys are probably asking me another question. You're thinking, oh, we don't usually make our crock pot recipes over here, and you're right. But I wanted to make it over here because 1, it's just I have a lot more space, okay? And 2, the area back there is a little bit messy. That's okay. Now you notice also that I don't have I don't have the base, or not the base, but the cooking part of it in the actual slow cooker. That is because I wanted to show you guys the actual meat. Now, this does have a little bit of marinade in it, and that's fine, okay? But we're gonna take these onions. Now, these onions are big chunks of onion, but that's okay. Okay, but I'm just gonna put them kind of down into the meat. Now this is gonna cook on low. Now what you can do is what I'm doing now. I'm kind of putting onions like around the meat, so then that way it gets flavor. Now you can do this a dozen different ways. You don't have to do it like I'm doing, but I want the meat to have flavor. So in order for this to have flavor, you gotta have you have to do what I'm doing. So all I'm doing is I'm just putting my onions on this meat, and then I'll probably do the same thing with my mushrooms, depending on how it goes. But you just never know. So we might have to kind of, But this is a good way to do this because I think I want to make sure that the pork tenderloin has great flavor. Okay. Now, we have done a pork tenderloin before in the slow cooker, and the last time we made it, it was so good. Now this time, I hope when we make it, I hope it's really good. I think it will be. Okay. Because the way we're doing it is good. Now all we're doing is I'm trying to fill in the like little gaps, because there's little gaps in the meat that I see. And I want to try to cover those up. I don't want to see any gaps in the meat, okay? It's okay if there's little small gaps, but I don't want to see like any big gaps into the meat. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we'll probably have to put some onions on top, and that's okay, okay? But you just want to take your onions and you want to put them around the meat, okay? And like I said, there's no need to rush the recipe. I'm not in a hurry to do this. Like, you know, I have all day, okay? I worked yesterday a little bit, so, you know, fine though. But these onions break apart, which is good for the meat, which is good, okay? Now remember, with the pork tenderloin, you gotta cook it low and slow. So we will be cooking this for 4 to 6 hours. But, another thing you can do with meat, you can also, now something I wanted to mention also is you can shred this meat once it cooks for 4 to 6 hours. But I'm not going to cook this for 4 hours because in 4 hours, we'll see what the cooking time is. I'll have to make my way. But I'm going to show you this pork tenderloin in a second. Woo! We're all done putting the onions around. Now, that was a process, okay? That was a process. Now, let me show you what the crock pot looks like right now without hopefully tipping it. See this? Look, that's what it looks like. Look at all those onions in there. Okay? Now, I'm going to try to do the same thing with my mushrooms. If I can get my mushrooms to stay in the slow cooker, I might have to put these a little on top of the meat. That's okay. Now, my mushrooms here, these are whole mushrooms. And I'm going to put these literally around it. Now remember, the mushrooms and onions are going to cook at the same time. So there's no need to say, oh, these mushrooms are not going to be flavorful, because they will. Okay, trust me, they will. Okay. I'm doing it this way to show you how you can make this a different way. Because honestly, like I told you, I tried to do this with my slow cooker pot roast. I tried to put my veggies around the roast, and I could not do it. I had to do it the way, I just had to do it a different way. I could not do it. Okay, now with onion, as we all know, what do we do? Now, I've never told you guys this. What do we do when we deal with raw onion? We wash our hands, because if you touch raw onions, if you go to touch your eyes with raw onion, it's gonna burn. Okay, and I've honestly, I've never made that mistake in my life, which is really good, and I don't want to start now, okay? I don't want to start now, not today. Alright, now the pork loin is covered in those mushrooms and those onions, which is what I want, but I don't want these onions to fall. So I've done a really successful job of putting the onions on top of this meat, and I have a lot of mushrooms to put around the roast. Now, sometimes when you make a slow cooker pot roast, or if you make a pork loin like I'm doing this morning, sometimes you'll have to adapt to things, and that's okay, you know, it's fine. But these mushrooms are going to cook so well into the meat, they'll be fine. Okay? Sometimes you'll have to put like mushrooms on top of things, it's okay. Okay, it's fine. It's fine if they fall a little bit. It's going to be okay, because they're going to cook evenly. Now, something I've learned about cooking, and I've been cooking for what? Quite a while, a long time, right? That you want to make sure your veggies cook evenly. This is what your slow cooker looks like with the mushrooms in there. See? I have the mushrooms in there now. So that's what your crock pot will look like after everything is put in your crock pot. This is going to cook on low for so many hours that those mushrooms are going to get tender. The onions are going to be flavorful. Okay, I wanted to show you guys a different way, because you're always telling me in the comments, you're saying, oh, maybe you should do it a different way. And I'm going to take your advice. Hey, alright, I'm going to wash my hands. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna use just this marinade. This is the good stuff. We're gonna pour this all over. Because this is like good marinade that literally marinated into the pork, and I don't like wasting stuff. If you guys have known me for a long time, you guys know I don't like to waste anything. Okay, this is good stuff from the meat. This came from the meat, and this is actually the marinade that I used for the meat. So I'm trying to put this all in this crock pot, and I'm gonna let this cook on low for a little bit. And as this cooks, then everything is gonna marry and get really happy, and it's gonna be really good. So, all right. So I'm gonna get rid of my bowl, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wash my hands, and then we will clean everything up, and then we'll get going. Now, this crock pot meal is very good and so good, and I promise I think you'll like this meal. Now, what I normally do now you guys probably won't be able to hear me because I got the water running. What I normally do to the pork loin is when I serve it, after it's cooked for a while, I usually take the pork loin out of the crock pot, and then I shred it. Or not shred it, I'm sorry. I take the pork loin out of the crock pot, right? And then I cut it. Cut the pork loin into like pieces. Okay? So, I've showed you what it looks like probably like 2 or 3 times. I'm going to put my lid on. I'm going to put it into the base. Lock it up, of course. And we're going to put the crock pot right here. So I'm going to try to, if it can hold, I'm going to make sure this is out of the way. And I'll put it right here. And we'll see if this cord can, nope, it's not going to reach. So, plan B. Let's see. Let me get it straight. Okay. Put it. Now this crock pot meal is so delicious. Let's do this. Let's move this. I'm gonna have to put it in front of the air fryer. Does not fit. My original plan was to put this in front of the thing, but it doesn't fit. So I have to go to plan B. See, sometimes when you're cooking, guys, you always gotta have plans, right? So, of course, the slow cooker, because the cord is not long enough to reach here, we have to move it over. Right here in front of the air fryer. So it's gonna kind of be like right here. Plug it in. Now, let's explain the cook. Okay, right here then. Let's explain the cooking time. Now, you probably can't see the. Let's see. Yeah, you guys can see it. The crock pot. Cook on low for 4 to 6 hours until the meat literally is tender. Now, you saw what we did. We put everything around the meat. It's going to be fine. Okay. I think it'll cook up the meat really well. So it's fine if it's covered. Because as you can see, I'll show you again. As you can see, it's okay if that pork loin is covered. Because we give it a little shake, 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 shake. Shake off a little bit. Look. See that meat? See? It's covered. That's what I wanted. So by doing it that way, it really is going to cook really well. So we have to plug it in over here real close. Because we know there's going to cook it. So just cook on low. There's no need to watch it, nothing. I'm going to put this on for, this says 4 to 6 hours. Now my crock pot does say 4 hours, but it's 11 o'clock. And if I were to cook this for 4 hours, then it would be done 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. We're going to go for it. 4 to 6 hours on low until your meat's done. Okay? We're gonna bump it. So, hold on. Select program. Actually, we're gonna do 6 hours on low because it's 11 o'clock and we don't want to eat at longer cook. Select program. Low. Done. Alright. On low for a few hours, for quite a while, until the meat is tender. Once the meat's tender, we'll come back. And we'll show you what this crock pot meal looks like. What I'm gonna do. Alright. So on low until the meat is tender. We'll come back and we'll show you what it looks like. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the recipe. Bye, vlog on. Peace out. Boom. Okay. Bye, guys.